the problem. Our science experiment looked at what changes would occur to a grapefruit in a 2.5 week period of being left out in the open.
We used the following materials in our experiment on a grapefruit, our specimen. We needed computers to document our progress using Google Docs,
Photo booth.
and the calculator to find out the differences.
A tin plate was used to hold our fruit.
And we wrapped it in saran wrap to make sure it rotted properly.
the digital weigh scale measured the mass of our fruit.
The digital temperature probe told us the internal temperature of our specimen.
We required rubber gloves to pick up the fruit when it became really rotten.
We used a data sheet to record some of our information in case the Google Doc was deleted.
Our hypothesis for the decomposition science lab was that our grapefruit would weigh less.
Most fruit, when rotting, loses weight because the water evaporates.
Our group also thought that the fruit would get some spots of black, green, and brown on its skin.
We believed this would happen because mold usually grows on rotting fruit.
We guessed the temperature would rise and fall. This is because when rotten fruits rot, they start getting colder or hotter.
We thought the texture will be wet and squishy.
We predicted that the grapefruit would smell like a rotten, bitter orange.
We thought this because when fruit gets rotten, the smell becomes stronger.
The grapefruit in the beginning of the project smelled fresh, and we guessed that when the fruit started to rot, so would the smell.
The variable we could manipulate in this experiment was time.
The controlled variables were the temperature, the weight, and the changes in the fruit.
In this experiment, the responding variables were all the things we measured, including weight, temperatures, and the grapefruit's appearance.
Daily procedures.
Each day we went into the science lab, we took our fruit and sat down. The digital documenter made observations on the Google Doc. The handler recorded the weight and the temperature using the weight scale and the digital temperature probe.
The digital documenter recorded all of this information and typed it onto the Google Doc, which included ambient and internal temperature, previous weight, and observations of texture, weight, temperature, and color.
The analyzer did all of the math, like difference in the temperature or weight on the calculator. Observations. Visible changes so we could see the juice packets inside the fruit ripping. We also saw some changes in color because a dark red spot appeared on the grapefruit and tiny spots of brown appeared on the outside.
There was a big stripe of medium brown on the inside of the fruit.
The smell went from a fresh citrus scent to a rotten bitter orange.
The texture of the specimen became drier over 2 weeks.
The way the weight changed was very random because some days it would drop 6 grams and others it would drop 0-something grams. The fruit lost 75.6 grams overall.
The temperature changes followed a pattern. It rose about 1 degree and then fell somewhere around 1 degree Celsius.
The average temperature was approximately 22 degrees Celsius. Our specimen's temperature rose 7 degrees Celsius over 2 weeks.
Analysis of data.
Once we were finished with our experiment, we had to make charts to help us show the changes in temperature and weight of our grapefruit. We started by making a new sheet in Google Docs, and we took all our quantitative information from our chart and put it into a new sheet.
We added columns for difference in weight by the computer and difference in temperature by the computer. We used the function button to calculate these differences. We also added some rows for the weekends when we didn't collect data.
Finally, we selected the columns that we wanted to chart, and we clicked the chart button to graph the information. We named the chart and we made sure there were no human errors.
This is our temperature chart. The numbers on the left are the difference in the temperature between the inside of the fruit and room temperature. The 0 on the chart represents room temperature. Each bar on the graph is the fruit temperature from a different day.
On the day we started the experiment, the grapefruit was very cold because it had been refrigerated. The next day, the temperature went up a lot because we left the fruit out in the open and it became almost room temperature.
This is our weight chart. The numbers on the bottom is the date. The numbers on the left is the weight in grams. The purple part of the chart represents the starting weight, which is always the same.
The orange part is the difference in weight from previous by computer and grams.
The red part represents the current weight.
It just went down a little bit. That didn't change. then went down a bit more and stayed the same, and it just kept going like that.
The final results of our specimen contained dark brown spots on the bottom skin, white patches of mold on the juice packets, and little cracks in the juice packet area. The inside edges carved in, and small bugs were crawling through the cracks. The final temperature was 23.6 degrees Celsius. The final weight was 182.9 grams.
We learned that some foods decompose faster than others. We also learned how to plan scientific procedures, and we learned how to identify the stages of a rotting fruit.
We initially thought the fruit would become lighter and dirtier. The fruit became lighter, but it didn't really get dirtier. We thought the grapefruit would weigh less, and we were correct. We thought the specimen would have colored spots, but we were wrong because there were no spots of green or black, but there were spots of gray. There were also 3 large spots of dark brown on the bottom.
We thought the temperature would rise and fall, and that is correct. We thought the texture would be wet and squishy. We were incorrect. The grapefruit's texture was mostly smooth, but was a tiny bit rough. We thought the grapefruit would smell like a rotten bitter orange, and we were correct.
Our questions for further exploration are: how long does it take a grapefruit to fully decompose? Why does a grapefruit not have much slimy stuff on it, but it has a very stinky smell? Why did the other half of the grapefruit rot faster? Why did our grapefruit not have much mold? How high is the internal temperature of a fully decomposed grapefruit? How does mold form? Why do insects like rotting fruit? This is our foods timeline. The beginning of this period of time is day 1 at the science lab, and the end of this period of time is at the last day of the science lab when we were documenting our observations and other scientific procedures, not the day where we buried our specimen to decompose on soil. Starring Benjamin 4.4,
Aryan 4.2.
Grace 4.2.
Thank you!